I doubt if we make a quorum. May you flight the agenda in the meantime so that we look at the agenda?
Will do, Chair.
Okay. All right. So, colleagues, this is the agenda as approved. We only have, it has 5 matters, but a substantive matter, I think we only have one substantive matter, 1 or 2. Is item number 3, a substantive matter, and item number 4, where we consider and adopt the minutes of the 26th of January 2022. Brian, this is the only set outstanding.
That is correct, Chair.
Okay. Now, I think we're doing well in terms of approving our own minutes.
Yes.
Okay, let me welcome the colleagues to this platform, to this meeting. This being, I think, is the second meeting of the year. We started our first meeting was on the 26th of January. We welcomed all members into the new year and also wish them well as they plan the year ahead. This morning, we will be receiving a briefing from the Department of Military Veterans on their second and third quarterly reports. We have also included an update on the BRRR recommendations. And then expect them to also brief us on progress with respect to the finalization and updating of policies on all services and benefits, and especially the public transport, pension, housing, and bursary benefits. There was a reason why we highlighted those. Public transport is because the department was lagging behind on it. Pension, not a single military veteran was receiving pension. We're not talking about those who were in the SNDF, were integrated and then retired from the SNDF. We're just talking about military veterans in general. Housing, there was a target. We went to see how is the department doing against the target. Bursaries is another issue that would require us, the department, to take us through. Those are in the main bread and butter issues. That with respect to benefits that the military veterans are entitled to. And then, of course, the last item, as I indicated earlier on. And in the meeting, we have the Deputy Minister of Military, of Deputy Minister, so we have the Minister of Defense and Military Veterans. She's in the meeting. We're going to have the Deputy Minister. I've not heard any apology, but I was under the impression that he was going to join us. If he's not on the platform, he's going to join us soon. But before I recognize everyone on the platform, let me check, Brian, if there are any apologies.
Yes, Chair, there is one that we do have. We have an apology from Ngosi Cebekulu, who's also attending another portfolio committee that sits at this time. That is the only apology that we have.
Okay. All right. And the members, are there any apologies? Okay. Doesn't look like there is any apology from on the side of the members. Now let me look at to the department. Minister, welcome you officially now. I also welcome the Director General of the department. And DG, may you introduce yourself and the team that is accompanying you.
Good morning to the Chair. Good morning to the Minister and Deputy Minister and the members of the committee. My name is Irene Mbolweni, the Director General for the Department of Military Veterans. I am accompanied by officials, and in the midst, I do have Mr. Sandy Sosiango. I will just await for the others to join. I can only see Sandy Sosiango on the platform, and we are the two officials that will be driving the presentations to the committee and also to the members as well.
Okay. What is Mr. Siango's designation in the department? Is Chief Director? Eh?
Yes, Chairperson. Indeed, Mr. Siango is Chief Director, Planning and Research in the Department of Military Veterans.
Okay. So you still do the CFO is still on suspension.
The CFO is part of the 4 members that have been suspended, Chairperson.
Is anyone acting in that position?
Yes, indeed, Chairperson. There is a person acting.
Can you
Ms.
name
Zintle Jasam.
What is a formal designation in the department?
She was a director at internal audit within the department.
And now acting CFO. Okay.
Indeed, Chairperson.
All right. No, thank you so much. Please, can you check if she is in the meeting? Sometimes when you start meetings without the HOD and the CFO, it becomes problematic because those are the people that look after the resources of the state.
Chair, I have admitted her into the meeting.
Oh, okay. No, thank you so much. Next time you must not be late. You know, we are the CFO of the department, and we are discussing issues, rents and cents, and you are accountable in that respect. Yes, the DG is the accounting office of the department, but do you have you perform the PFMA responsibilities? All right. Okay. Now, having checked that, DM, good morning and welcome. Okay, the DM is not joined.
Chair, good morning, and
is this your
morning
prison
to honorable members of the committee? Sorry, Chair.
Is this your prison number?
That number, I don't know. I'm using a new gadget, so there are a few things that I'm not quite sure about today. That's why I'm struggling to connect. Thank you very much.
No, we'll note that this is your phone. Thank your gadget. Thank you so much.
Chairperson, is that the false number of the deputy minister that we probably see?
Mr. Murray just loves the military.
All right, colleagues, thank you very much. All right, I think we do have the quorum. I can now invite the minister to greet us and then give us her opening remarks. Honorable Minister Thandi Modise.
Good morning, Chairperson, honorable members, Deputy Minister, DG and the delegation. Let me first start by saying that it is a new year. Some of us didn't start it so well, but we are here, we are breathing, and we thank whoever it is that is responsible. And to wish all of us a very industrious and progressive year, not only as the committee and parliament, but as a country. It's important for us to be saying that in this year, Chairperson, every South African is worried about the performance of this particular department. Report after report that reflects on the state of politics, the state of the economy of this country, looks at especially the safety and security sector of our government to see how we are performing. And it is important for us, therefore, to be focusing on stabilization and making government work. That being said, we are appearing today in front of your committee, having missed the first meeting of the year because I was not well. We appear before you, Chairperson, to respond to the committee's agenda, and the DG and her team will put the report to you. I must say that the Deputy Minister and I are very concerned about the state of the department. I must say that it doesn't start with me being concerned. I understand that the department has actually had issues for a long time, so please take that into consideration when you interact with us. But we can also say that despite all of this, we have seen a small positive growth in the department. We are still concerned because sometimes it is not just issues of funding, it is issues of the skills, it is issues of us understanding what the intended purpose of any department is and its focus. So I'm going to allow the DG to present a report to you, a report that both the Deputy Minister and I have had side of, have had a slight disagreement with, have expressed our view on that, and had asked for that report to be improved or changed. And I'm hoping that it will be improved or changed, as we said, because we respect Parliament and we think that at all times we must put our case as honestly as possible in front of the committee. We want to say that we want to ensure that the men and women who gave up their lives and their youth to serve the country on whichever part of the big South African family need us as a country, as this department, to serve them as honestly, as efficiently as possible. But also because of the state of our economy, every cent that has been given to this department becomes a concern if it does not go to where it should go. So we would want to say to the committee, bear with us. We are really looking at the focus of this department. We think that we might want to go on a retreat where we will invite the committee to come in with us to review our performance over the years since the inception of this committee, to hear even from members of parliament what they think we should do to ensure that we really begin to not just totter along, but begin to really perform and to deliver to the clients, the veterans of this country. I would like to say that the DG and team will put the report. The Deputy Minister and I cannot walk away from the report. It is supposed to be our report. But as I say, we disagree with the report because we don't think it is focused enough. So that is our first issue, where you have the executive feeling that in fact we're talking at each other, but that matter is not a matter for discussion today. It is a matter that is being escalated. It is a matter that we will deal with differently and away from this committee. But it is important for us to pick it up so that it is not interpreted by Parliament that we, the executive, just don't care. It just will come to Parliament and present whatever we think, because that is not the case. I would therefore want to say to you, Chairperson, that we should allow the DG to table and let us discuss whatever it is that has come through. We will, as I say, be discussing it further internally. We will be interacting with Treasury on certain aspects of our performance to see how we can deal with issues. I wish to say thank you for the opportunity to greet you, Chairperson, and the committee, and hand back to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister. We will interact with the report and having at the back of our mind the fact that some of the issues, as you have pointed out, receiving your attention, and hopefully at some point will come back to us refined. So, all right. So on that note, let me welcome the DG.
Good morning, Chairperson. Good morning, Minister. Good morning, Deputy Minister. And good morning to the members of the Portfolio Committee of Defense and Military Veterans.
Good morning.
As a department, through Mr. Siango, we will be presenting our report to the Portfolio Committee on the performance of Q2 and Q3. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Siango.
Thank you, Chairperson. And good morning to you, Chair, and to the members of the committee, and good morning to the Minister and to the Deputy Minister, and also to the DG and my colleagues. As highlighted, this is the consolidated report of Q2 and Q3. However, Chair, I would slightly try and focus more on Q3, but I would highlight some of the issues that have been raised also in Q2 in the report. The report is going to focus on both performance information and also financial information. The purpose is to brief the committee on the report as highlighted, and I think the slide is very familiar to the committee in terms of the mandate of the department. This is the structure of the department. perhaps I will skip this one also. It's a structure that we as I think aware that we are really looking at reviewing, but I will skip for a different day. But then coming to the information, then financial information. Perhaps let me start by saying the department for this financial year, due to budget cuts across government by National Treasury, there was a proposal to cut 100 million from the department. However, 50 million ended up being cut from the department. The baseline was then reduced from 654 to 607 million for the year. As we speak currently, at the end of Q3, the department had spent 290 million of that 607 million, which amounts to about 48% of the total appropriation allocated to the department. And then when you look at the various categories where the money was spent, you are seeing that 67% of the money was spent on the cost of employment, and 48% of the 290 was spent on payments for goods and services, and 39% of that money was spent on transfers and subsidies. Transfers and subsidies is mostly where we then pay for the benefits of military veterans. Then it's important that we highlight how we had planned to spend the money. This is how we had planned, from April 2021, that is last year, that how we're going to phase in spending the money. As we speak, as at December 2021, the department was supposed to be sitting at 68% of that. However, as I've reported, that we were sitting at 48% of that expenditure. Then this is then how we've fed as of December 2021 in terms of benefits. If you maybe I can just quickly reflect in terms of Q2. Q2, all these benefits were red, except for burial support, which means we were not doing very well. So we're beginning to see in Q3 that there was improvement in terms of money spent on some of the benefits, especially on education support, on healthcare, and also on compensation of injury to military veterans. We know that for skills development, it's an area where we have lacked always in the past, but we foresee that with the interventions that we're putting in place now, that we are going to begin to improve around that particular benefit. Pension and transport, we have not yet implemented those two benefits. The SRD, the Social Relief of Distress Chair, I think I also need to highlight that how we've been paying that is that we have been paying the top-up grant for military veterans that qualify for the 350 at SASSA. The department then pays the top-up of 850 to make it 1,200. So we continue to pay that amount to the military veterans. Then when we look at the various, in terms of economic classifications and branches, you begin to see that administration branch is sitting at 61%, whereas the two service delivery branches are sitting at 44%. an improvement from the last financial year, Chair and members, is the one of empowerment and stakeholder management, where we are beginning to see, that branch beginning to spend its allocated budget. And then I think I will skip the issues of economic classification because I indicated that earlier in my slide. But I think we as I indicated, the 39% on transfers and subsidies is mostly the money that is accrued to the benefits that we pay for military veterans. Then when we talk then to different branches, pair then the sub-programs in different branches, you begin to see that in administration branch, the cost of employees there is a risk there. As such, we are overspending on that. The main reason for that, Chair and members, is that there are some people from the other branches that are paid, under administration branches. So we have been working with National Treasury to kind of align. HR has been working with National Treasury to kind of align that, to ensure that people are paid where they are in the department, so that it does not cause a skewed picture in the department in terms of this. So that's a misalignment that is there, but this is where the branch is in terms of economic classifications and also in terms of its sub-programs. It's sitting at 61%. And when we talk to socio-economic support, I must indicate this is where most of the benefits are in this branch, sitting at 44%. You are beginning to see here that again here the issue about compensation of employees, you would see that it's sitting at 37%. It's because some of the employees that are here are being paid under administration. Here, hence you see the low kind of expenditure here. However, having said that, also I think the vacancies also in this branch are also causing an impact with that expenditure. But as I indicated, then in terms of the sub-programs, there's 3 of them here. It's the database management, it's the healthcare, and then it's the socio-economic support. You are beginning to see a big improvement around the healthcare and compensation, in compensation for military veterans. Which was largely due to the fact that there was a lot of military veterans, or a lot of invoices that were settled in Q3, and there were military veterans that were paid their compensation around Q3. With the database management, we are implementing the integrated database management. We are gradually improving on that. I will talk to that, later on in my slide, because there is a program that we have entered into with CETA on the automation and digitization of the department, where we foresee that there's going to be a huge, we have actually allocated a huge amount of money from the current budget towards that particular project. And we foresee that then as we begin to implement and we roll out more modules, and there's going to be more money spent around that. And also the issue of the verification panel, the budget is allocated under that sub-program. As at December, there were 2,650 learners that were approved for 2021. That were approved for 2022 academic year. And then with regards to healthcare, we are, as I indicated, we for Q3, there was improvement around, access to healthcare, because as we saw that, I think it talks to both healthcare and also PPI 208, healthcare and dedicated counseling. With the relaxation of the COVID levels, we saw, because some of these things require contact to be made, so hence then we saw improvement around access access to these particular benefits. And moreover, I must indicate for the access to healthcare, I think there's been an improvement in terms of our relationship with the South African Military Health Service, in terms of how we collect invoices, and we are able to account for military veterans that have accessed the services in those facilities. So I'm sure in Q4 we should be able to achieve that target of 19,100 that has been planned for the year, which is cumulative. As I indicated, we've seen significant improvement in this branch, where now we're sitting at 60%. This branch is very important, Chair and members, because it deals with issues of empowerment of military veterans. Hence, you would see in our report, we have highlighted some of how we are trying to reposition it, such that it focuses on issues of professionalize how military veterans are provided with skills development, and to the extent that we are looking at exit strategies where military veterans get trained, they are provided with other job opportunities or business opportunities. So you look at the organizations or state organs that we have targeted to partner with, which some of these agreements are at really at an advanced stage. I think some have been signed, where we are really looking at then how we improve the empowerment of military veterans, because we feel that if we get this right, Chair, as I indicated, it's really going to help us going forward. It talks also to issue of employment placement. We are really looking at one of the things that we have included in the skills development policy is the issue of providing tools of trade to military veterans, so that when a military veteran gets trained, then they are able for themselves to either get into business for their small businesses, or we, for example, in the partnership that we are having with Sandral, one of the issues Sandral raised when we engaged them was that they would have opportunities, but then, military veterans would not have the requisite capacity and tools of trade to participate in those business opportunities. Hence, we have said that we need to assist the military veterans to provide tools of trade so that they are able to participate even in these bigger contracts. Then these are just statistics, Chair and members, with regards to HR, or in terms of where we are in the department. We do have some vacancies, especially we don't have the layer that is supporting the DG. We know one DDG is suspended and two others are vacant, but those two vacant DDG posts have been advertised. But again, we've I think now in January beefed up. There's some layer in the senior management where we've appointed a director legal and also director HRM, human resources management. We've also appointed deputy director labor relations, and who else has been appointed? I know there were 4 appointments now in January. And we're also looking at now, there are positions that were advertised sometime last year. We're looking at doing shortlisting for those so that we ensure that then we will make those appointments to fill in the vacant positions. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much. Digi, do you still want to make further comments?
Chairperson, on the presentation, not now. I think we will be, if we may be allowed to do the presentations. I am not sure what is going to be the sequence that we are expected to do. Am I expected to add on or comment?
No. I was checking if he presented on your behalf. I was checking if he covered everything that you had asked him to present.
From our side, Chairperson, he has. It's just to add on one area of the person that we also appointed in the 4 appointments we've done in January. It's a person that is dealing with, it's a Deputy Director HR Planning, which is going to assist us in terms of planning within the HR sector of the department. Hence, he was saying that we've beefed up some of the critical positions, which is HR, legal, and labor relations.
No, it's fine. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Chairperson.
Thank you, DG. Colleagues, I now open the platform for discussion, comments, and questions. Looking, all right. Honorable Thabo and Honorable Matle, Honorable Thabo Mutle and Honorable Mare.
Honorable Matle, hey, that's a new pronunciation, eh? Never heard that one.
It's a new year, still early.
All right, no, thank you very much, Honorable Chair. I just want to find out or get a clarity from the presenter as we welcome this presentation. He made mention of the fact that they are continuously engaging on skill development and engaging certain state entities or institution that will come on board. And he only made mention of Sandra. What are the other entities that they have reached a consensus with on this program of empowering military veterans, and what are the timelines in terms of implementation? I'm asking that because we don't want a situation whereby these programs are open-ended and nothing really touches the ground. Secondly, it's on the continuous training that they are reporting on logis system. How far actually are they in terms? I know they made mention of getting somebody to actually be permanent on operation, but they also made mention of since I think the first quarter, the second quarter and the third quarter, they've been they are talking of training. So what is the status on that training, and what is the rationale behind the training the staff whilst you intend to get somebody? I'm not sure whether you want to get that person, create that particular position and fill it with somebody internally that you have trained, or you'll get somebody outside. What is the rationale? How are you going to strike a balance there? Yeah, I think those are the two questions that I seek clarity on, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mutle. Mr. Murray.
Thank you, Chair. Chairperson, I've got just one or two questions on clarity in terms of the presentation that is not clear at all. And I just want to find out from you whether I can first have the clarity in terms of certain slides, because there's some sums and percentages that doesn't make sense. And I just want clarity for that. And can we then do questions in terms of what I've got, because it might impact on my questions.
No, you are right. You need clarity first. Maybe just raise those issues of clarity,
okay,
and ask them to respond, and then still ask you to fill the questions or follow-up questions.
Thank you, Chair. If we look at and the relevant slides, it starts with slide 7. If you look at slide 7, those percentages, I just wanted to make sure about those percentages, because the second last bullet says that 290 million was spent. And then it says it's 48% of the total appropriation. Now, 290 is not even, that is the only one that is true, because the other ones doesn't make sense. The last bullet refers to 290 million rand, and then they split 86.6 million rand is 67 of that amount, which is obviously not true. It cannot be, it's only 30-something%. And the same with the cost of employees. And the same with the others that I mentioned there. It doesn't add up to 100%. So I just want that. And then the second slide, they are still working on.
Just before, Mr. Murray, let me ask them to clarify this whilst we are still on the slide, so that we move to the next slides, having received.
Can I just say that slide, you must also read slide 10, where it refers to the 290, the budget of 607, and then they say available budget. In other words, it's after the 290 was spent, and then that 290 is 48% of the 316 million. And I mean, we how can you measure what you have already spent as a percentage of what is left over? And that relates back to those questions on slide 7. So that obviously doesn't make sense, you know, and those don't add up to 100 and the amount. So I just want us to get to exactly the same percentages of what we are talking about and what is left over, because the percentages must always add up to 100.
Okay, just before we leave this slide, all right, Mr. Murray, you are saying what was spent is 290,660,000 rand, isn't it? Against 607,030 million. Okay, the amount available and spent as at the third quarter is 316 million. Right? The amount spent is 48%. What is the question?
The amount spent is 48% on the available budget, not on the total budget. So, I mean, I'm not quite sure what is the purpose to give us a percentage, not of the budget, but what is left over of the budget after it has been spent. I'm not quite sure what the argument with that is. I would rather see the percentage of spend of the budget that is available. I must just refer in the same stance. You know what is
Maret, so that you don't confuse me. Let's stop at this. This is 48% spent, right? So can we get clarity on this one? What is this? What does this 48% represent?
That's the 290 million,6, which is correct, of what is already of what is already spent. But when you look at the last budget, the last bullet, it says of the total spent of 296 million, 86 million or 67% was spent on cost of employees. That's obviously not true. 116.5 or 48 was payment. And, you know, if you add the 67 plus 48 plus 39 plus 31%, that's way then more than 100%, because it says clearly of that amount, this was spent. And those percentages obviously doesn't add up.
Okay, can we have that
impossible.
clarified? Can we have that clarified, please?
Thank you, Chairperson. Good morning, everyone. I think the member on slide 10, he did confirm that the 48% is accurate, because that is the amount spent as at the 31st of December. So when you add the 290 and 316, they should tally back to the original budget amount. So that has been clarified. But now, if we are focusing only on the per economic classification, which we have about compensation of employees, which is our first economic class, wherein we are indicating, Mr. Siang, can you please go to slide 2?
7. Slide 7. As we have got it.
Yes, if you go there on that slide, we are saying compensation of employees constituted 67% of the amount that is being spent. It does not have to agree to 100% member. That is according to our own calculation. Fortunately, I did this presentation, so the figures are correct. I can share with you the methods that we have used to reach to those percentages, but I can confirm to you that they are correct in terms of our methodology. Thank you.
86.6 as a 67% of 290. Well, you know, I mean, that's okay. And then the next slide.
No. Let's check that. The 86 million rand is 86 million rand of 290.
Yeah. What is that percentage?
I think CFO.
That's 32%.
CFO.
Chairperson.
All right. Okay. The total spent is 290.
Yes.
Right. 86.6 million rand was spent on COE. Is that what you're saying?
That's what they are saying. That's 29.
And then Mr. Mare's question is it correct when you say 86 million rand is 67%
of 290?
Of 290.
It should be 67% of the entire budget. But let me, Chairperson, can I be given just time to just get back to my calculations? Probably I'll give you the answer before the end of the meeting.
Yeah, because that doesn't add up.
Okay.
Chairperson, and then the next slide, the very next slide, although in the previous one, they indicated that the budget had to be adjusted to 607 million. The next slide still referred to actual planning is to spend 654 million. The first line is budget planning, and that I can see that it was originally a 65 to 54, but the actual must now obviously be adjusted to 607, because we cannot plan to spend 654 anymore, except if we are planning to overspend.
You are right. CFO, what is your comment on that?
Yes, thank you, Chairperson. The slide, the member is correct. It still refers to the original budget. And the reason for that is that this, some of these standard templates, we only get them from the National Treasury, then we can update our own records. I'm sure at the time of preparing the presentation, maybe the information was not necessarily updated, but it still
reflect the original budget. That I can confirm, Chairperson.
All right.
Chairperson, but in that light, we should then have information to say how they are they planning to spend the new one. In other words, the approved one, 607 and not 654. So that was just clarity that I was seeking in that regard, Chairperson. I will first stand back in terms of my questions, and then after the others has made their questions, I can do mine, sir.
No. I thought.
Must I proceed?
Yes. This
okay.
Looking to ask clarity questions before we choose questions. You can
question, just a comment quickly. I know that all of us are inundated by inquiries by military veterans, and it seems like the economy has caught up with them as well. So the pressure is going to be enormous on this department for benefits going into the future. I have got just a few questions in this regard. The minister has indicated that there will be talks with National Treasury. Given that the 22-23 budget we know has been completed, and we have that budget in a week or two. Is she referring then in terms of discussions with National Treasury for the next financial year? Because that must be made clear to all possible military veterans that what the minister is talking about is in the future, is not the 22-23 financial year. That's the first one. Then just a general one to the department. Some of the questions and the complaints that we receive is that they struggle to get hold of the department, the phones that are ringing, and they cannot get hold of officials. I must admit on the other side that where we have interacted with the department and with people at the database and even the benefits, they have been incredibly helpful. So while there's a frustration on the military veteran side in terms of approaching the department in an increasing number, wonderful work has been done, and I can only express my appreciation for what they've done. I wonder if either the minister or the DG can respond in terms of this complaint, and how are we going to remedy that?
Mr. Mare,
Yes,
can we finish questions on the budget and the budget performance in general? Once we are done, then get back to questions of just a general nature, so that we put this one behind us.
Okay, I will do that.
Okay. Sure.
Chairperson, I will just stop there. The other one is just on healthcare. Okay, but that's not a budget issue. It's a general one. It's not a budget issue. So I will stand back at this stage.
No, thank you so much. And I also have two questions, colleagues. One is the top-up grant. How were the military veterans identified? And how many were able to access this grant? I just want to see the performance of this grant. And then the second point is I see that you have spent 39% on transfers and subsidies, and I know that I know for a fact that schools would be one of the transferees. I hope I'm correct. And who else were the recipients of these transfers and subsidies, so that I get a sense of how was this money spent by the department. And thank you very much. Those are the two questions I have. Over to you, DG.
Chair.
Chairperson.
Yes, sorry.
I raised my hand.
Oh, okay, Ms. Pickers, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I also want to thank them for the presentation. And I just want to, I think I have two questions. But the first one is, Chair, that the slow spending of the department has a direct impact on the military veterans not receiving services. And I think that can't be right, Chair. So the department really need to address what is important, and that is to ease the lives of our military veterans. That is just a comment, Chair. The one is the lack of capacity in the department, and it leads to delaying of payments and checking of invoices. So is there a process, or what are they doing to address that problem? Then secondly, Chair, the underspending of 5.8 million on the compensation of employees was due to vacant senior positions, and they only report on a filling of a vacancy in HR. So what is the status of the other vacancies? And my last one, Chair, is we always raise the concern of queries raised by military veterans and the fact that they did not respond timeously. Did they have measures in place to monitor the effectiveness of their responses? And what is the percentage of applications received in the last quarter? Maybe I missed that one. And from which provinces? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. And let me just check if there's... Okay, that was the last hand. Thank you, colleagues. DG, over to you.
Thank you very much.
Of which it's something that we have, we are working towards, like I've advised Chairperson, which is, which goes along with the fact that we have a system, but we've got some challenges in terms of implementing it. So that's where the audit queries were around.
The other question: when was it acquired? At what cost?
Chairperson, the LOGIS is a national, it's a government transversal system. It should be used by all government departments. And as far as my understanding, Chairperson, from our side, we have acquired the fact that we're a national government department, so it should have been acquired when the department was established. But I'm subject for correction because I've only joined the department in 2019. So I think on my other original role of head of internal audit, it's an issue also that I've been monitoring over the years to say we really need to put LOGIS into implementation, which makes a lot of work easy, and bring about a lot of efficiencies. So that's what I would like to indicate, that it is a transversal system. It has been there for quite some time. So I want to believe that when the department was established back in 2012-13, then the LOGIS system should have been introduced at the same time as the BUS system. Thank you.
And you have not come on board simply because you do not have enough personnel. And you said HR is not coming to the party. DG, what is your view in relation to this? I mean, she can't be talking as if HR is in another department and it's not part of the department and reporting to you.
Chairperson, as the acting CFO has presented to say that immediately when we picked up that there's challenges in that area, I gave an instruction that if there's no post, we should ensure that we have people that can be trained provisionally to be able to run the system. And at the same time, we needed to ensure that we have a permanent position to advertise so that we can be able to stabilize that section. And indeed, she is quite correct that I made that instruction to HR. And as she has said currently that we have capacitated HR to ensure that all these critical posts are given attention. And I think it's due to our capacity that was lacking at HR that we have not been picking up, not only on this position, but on other positions as well that have not been advertised for quite some time. And I'm seeing some improvement since the new director has just started, and they are consolidating all the critical positions. As it has been mentioned here, the 2 Deputy Director General positions that are supporting the department at the highest level have also been advertised, and also other positions at lower levels are going to be advertised going forward. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Okay. All right. You may continue with... yes, Mr. Mutle.
Can I make a follow-up, or should I wait till they are done responding?
Follow up on this one?
Yes.
Okay, you are welcome to do so.
All right. Thank you very much, Chair. I'm not satisfied because I don't think my questions were correctly captured. My first question was in relation to empowerment of military veteran versus the skill development that they seek to offer to military veteran. And the DG made mention of CETAs, and she doesn't come clear on timelines and program, because for me, seated where I'm seated, the reason why I need clarity is that you'll train military veteran, for example, to have access to the internet or the so-called technological world. Firstly, are you going to provide them with smart gadgets, so forth and so on, for them to be able to partake in that world, if one may say so? Secondly, with other aspects of empowerment, for an example, the presenter made mention of SANRAL. If we have agreed with SANRAL on a program to empower military veterans, SANRAL is focused on road infrastructure. You must be able to say we have agreed with SANRAL that they will empower military veterans, and empowering them means that it's either they are going to employ them as an institution. Secondly, they are going to give them opportunity in terms of business on their program of road maintenance and construction, so forth and so on. If we have agreed, you must be able to say, as the Department of Military Veterans, this is the program that we have embarked on, and these are the military veterans that are interested in that particular field, and our program to impart skills on them so that they can partake in those programs will start from point A and end at point C, and will hand them over to SANRAL, and for SANRAL to empower them. I'm not hearing that. All that I'm hearing is it's skill development of the vision that the DG has with the department, not necessarily what will translate to empowering military veterans. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much. DG?
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Getting into the first part on the program that we are doing jointly with the CETA and the other institutions, it does carry as part of the program the tools of trade, as the member has indicated. Hence, they will be taken through the ICTs, the centers themselves, to be able to utilize the tools of trades that they will be provided. It is indeed a comprehensive program that empowers them to be able to participate and having the tools of trade. And that was also another key thing that was recommended. Furthermore, it was also indicated in terms of the comprehensive program to say that also in time of COVID, the military veterans can be able to use those tools of trade to connect with departments, to connect and do their own business, and connect and do further training that may be needed amongst themselves. And of course, it's a program that is meant to take the military veterans into independence and also be sustainable in terms of looking at their own development and looking at other opportunities that you can open up when you are having a gadget of this nature. With regards to the project at SANRAL, the project at SANRAL has got phases. Indeed, my colleague indicated that opportunities at SANRAL were open. Upon the discussion with SANRAL, it came across that military veterans, in fact, not maybe to say military veterans, most of the previously disadvantaged groups have opportunities at SANRAL, but what was picked up is that they usually come with no tools of trade to participate, and their portion ends up going back to those people who are more enriched in terms of the tools of trades, and that they can have the machinery and the equipment. And the first phase that we have embarked on again is the phase of ensuring that the necessary equipment that we are talking about in terms of road maintenance, and the first program that we're looking at is a pothole program. We have the tools of trades that can be able to assist the military veterans. And we are working closely with SANRAL in the new financial year. The program is going to start. We have had initially a program plan, a program charter that we are revising again with SANRAL to ensure that it's going to tally with the work that we have been given. It is also interesting to say that our sister department has also opened up an opportunity for the military veterans and the equipment that we've acquired to do on-the-job training by looking at the campuses and ensuring that those campuses are also maintained. Those are some of the negotiations that we are dealing with our sister department, UDOD. And also we have embarked in talking with the local government SITA, which we have signed an MOU that is going to do a comprehensive training that is going to be needed for the, we are starting with the pothole program at the moment. We have not gone through other projects that are provided by SANRAL. So the joint plan will be starting in the new financial year. Will kick in the new financial year. The member is also saying that how do we create in terms of the balance? The balance, I think my colleague tried to explain, to say that the sustainability of the military veterans is directed to the fact that they can be able to make a choice of opening up their own business, which the department has been assisting them, but also direct them to the businesses that other institutions have offered, like SANRAL. And of course, we are talking to the Department of Public Works, and which has also agreed to assist us in the partnership on infrastructure projects. I thank you, Chairperson.
Okay, can we respond to the other questions as well?
Thank you, Chairperson. I think we were asked to move in terms of the discussion on finances. I would get to my colleagues to engage into the issue around the complaints as it has been raised and how we are dealing with the complaints. Mr. Siango can assist in that area.
We still have other questions that are related to the budget. We'll deal with those later.
Thank you, Chairperson. I think another question that was asked relating to the budget is the issue of transfers. What are the other transfers other than skills? I can confirm that we also have also doing transfers in terms of burial claims, wherein the military veterans would apply for burial of the members of the military veterans, and also the housing is also treated and paid for under housing. Under transfers and subsidies, compensation, as well as counseling. So those are the other things, Chairperson, that are included under transfers.
Okay. Top up, how the veterans identified, and how many were able to access the top-up grant?
Thanks, Chair. I will come in there, Chair. The military veterans were identified. Okay, Chair, there was a call by government to pay that 350 grand. Okay, and then then the military veterans would have to, like any other South African, apply to SASSA for that 350 grand. Then all the verification in terms of whether you qualify for that would happen at SASSA. Then what happened is that a decision was taken to say that because of the situation that military veterans face themselves in, those that have been approved at SASSA, the department must actually provide a top-up of 850 to make that money to be 1,200 rands. So how we identify them is that the military veteran would have to bring a proof that they have been approved and paid, and the 350 paid by SASSA, and then the department would then pay the top-up at 850 based on those documents. So far, we have paid 1,125 military veterans the top-up grant. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. All right. I guess you have exhausted. Are there any questions, colleagues, on the budget? I mean, there are questions that Ms. Bukas raised. Have you answered them?
Yes, Chair. Around inefficiencies and provinces, Chair, members. Okay, there's two critical interventions that we have introduced. The first one is that we've got provincial coordinators who are sitting at middle management level in the provinces, in all 9 provinces. We've got an assistant director there and the deputy director. And recently we've, I think late last year, appointed administrative officers in those offices. So the deputy directors have now been invited or are now participating in the management meetings of the department. Because what we did pick up is that there are a lot of things that are happening in the provinces that require management intervention, and we never get to hear of them up until they become serious grievances for military veterans. So we've brought the provincial coordinators now to management meetings so that we get to understand, what are the issues that are being raised in the provinces and what are the issues that are there, in the provinces. And secondly, recently, what we have also done here in the headquarters is that because we've had challenges around education, and I think DG mentioned this issue mostly because of the manual operations of things. There is a team that has been put together here. It sits here on the 3rd floor. As members visit the basement in the education support reception, there is a register, which basically takes information of everyone who comes into the department and why they came into the department. And when the person leaves the department, they need to indicate what was the output of that particular visit for the day. So the team that sits here in the 3rd floor looks at that register on a daily basis, and they follow up with veterans, whether they've been assisted or not assisted. So we've got that register. I'm sure we can make that particular register. We only started implementing that now in February. We can make that visible so that you begin to see how we're tracking the cases, since we don't at the particular moment have an automated kind of system that can assist us with that. So I think those are the two critical interventions that we are trying to put in place, just to ensure that we monitor and we follow up on the issues that have been raised by veterans. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. All right. So, Mr. Murray, you had general questions?
Yes, thank you very much, Chair. My general questions was, and I will maybe just repeat that the minister has indicated that first of all that there will be discussions with National Treasury, and my question was whether that will then only apply for the next financial year and not the 22-23 financial year, and what we can expect from that. And then also together with that, the minister has also indicated right in the beginning, basically that she and the deputy minister is not happy with this presentation. And I was just wondering how regular the minister gets updates from the department, so that she is fully informed, right, on a continuous basis, so that certain interventions can take place, and maybe the minister can share with us, what kind of interventions has been decided and how regular she gets this feedback report. Chairperson, then I have indicated about complaints and how the complaints will be dealt with now going into the future. Another complaint that we regularly receive, and maybe it's specifically with regards to the old SACC members, where they said that they get sometimes not good treatment at the Cape Town office, and apparently it's been told to them by the persons in the MV office, it's because they are old SADF members. So I just want a response on that. And then in terms of going forward, it was indicated that pensions they will start paying that out from April onwards. And my question is just that in terms of the budget, and we know that it's been cut last year by 50 million rand, and obviously, the GDP doesn't look very bright going into the future. Maybe they know more than we do about the upcoming budget. How do they foresee that impact will be? First of all, the amount of pension per month, how many applications do they expect, or do they already have? And on what basis will they then allocate pensions going forward? Because there must be some system of not everybody will be able to get, but only some. So if you can get that. And the other one that we also regularly receive feedback on is, for example, a military veteran take a taxi from Limpopo to one military hospital. They wait the whole day there, and then they have to return back home without being treated. Are there any other options for those military veterans? For instance, provincial hospitals or provincial clinics. Are there any developments in that regard in terms of MOUs with the Department of Health as well in the provinces? Thank you very much, Chair.
Would you mind, Mr. Marais, if I suspend the discussions on benefits until we receive a presentation on the policies and the finalization of policies and the implementation of the benefits flowing thereof? Would you mind? Mr. Marais?
Mr. Marais is muted. He's talking.
My apologies. My apologies, Chair. I've got no problem if we suspend the broader discussion, but at least if they can give us an indication of, are they ready? Is it a concern? Because we are entering into a budget that will be delivered in a week, 2 weeks' time, and then we have to deal with that. So if that's purely an indication to us whether they are ready or whether it's a problem that we can expect and how we will deal with that. Thank you very much.
Let's deal with these questions when we deal with policies and how benefits would be structured going forward. It leaves me with two questions, essentially. One, the two questions to the minister, whether the discussions with Treasury would impact on the current budget. Yeah, so I can't remember the second one to the minister.
The second one to the minister was about her unhappiness that she has indicated
Yes.
And how regular they get feedback, and how regular do they, because one would expect that they inform the minister on a regular basis, not only when they report back to Parliament. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I think the minister has taken note of those questions. May I ask the department to come back and finish the presentation so that we'll then deal with all the remaining questions and the answers
just that questions about the complaints as well, how they're dealing with the complaints.
No, that's fine.
Increasing number of complaints.
You'll get responded to. Can I invite the department to finish the presentations? Because they are interrelated, all of them.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. The department will continue. Mr. Sengo, can we continue with the presentation?
Thank you, DG, and thank you to Chair and members. We got the brief, Chair, that we must focus on subsidized transport, pension, housing, and education. However, we felt that we added 1 or 2 slides, just indicate the portfolio in terms of the policy development in the department, how we've fared over this financial year, so that at least the portfolio members can have a sense in terms of what is happening around stabilizing the department around issues of policy development. So I will quickly start. I think just the 1 slide or 2 in terms of the support policies to indicate that in this current financial year, as at now, we have the DG has approved about 23 support policies. We know that there was an issue with AG around a department that doesn't have policies. So we've reviewed, and also doesn't have policies and also has old policies. We've reviewed these policies, and 23 of those were processed in this particular financial year. They are in these areas: HR, finance, SCM, ICT, research, facilities, and risk. I think we've got a few policies that are still going back and forth in the department. We are really planning to have those concluded by the end of the financial year. Then when we talk then to issues of service delivery policies as per the brief that we got, I think we need to first, Chair and members, to highlight some of the issues that we think are important, so that we raise these issues as they impact on these processes. We are saying that the amendment of the bill will have an impact going forward on some of these policies, because clearly there's developments around the amendment which will see some of these policies having to be changed. And we know that challenges that have been experienced by the department in dispersing the benefits in the past have led to really challenges or problems around dispersing some of these benefits. And especially a requirement for us as a department to review some of the regulations, so that we are alive to the challenges that are faced by military veterans out there. And again, one of the issues that was raised is how then the department needs to align itself to government, as a whole, so that we don't go right, whereas government is going left. So especially alignment with the sister departments that have these mandates or that are providing these services to veterans. And again, I think this one is linked to my second bullet, whereas we're saying some of the recent developments in the presidential task team will require some of the policy positions to be reviewed. And of course, what's critical in this whole thing, Chair and members, is the fact that we need to consult the relevant sister departments and provinces, so that we ensure that then we concur on some of the things that we are proposing in these policies. So maybe just as a background is to say that these are the 6 policies that have been approved so far in the department that talk to service delivery. that talk to the benefits. It's access to healthcare, dedicated counseling, compensation for military veterans, heritage, burial support, and skills development. Then when I talk then to the education benefits, we know that there is a policy that was approved in 2018, which really has been a matter of contention between the department and military veterans. It's going to help us in this particular benefit, and also in the healthcare benefit, of course in other things, because it's going to work more of as a benefit card rather than just in identification card. So we are still going to work on this in the next financial year. I think we are going to focus our energies on this particular benefit in the 2022-23 financial year. That's all, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Because the presentation on the BRRR also touches on some of the issues that you have presented. May I invite you to deal with that as well, so that we deal with the three reports as one, because they are interconnected.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. We will take upon the presentation as requested, Chairperson, of the BRRR. Colleagues, can we have the presentation on the screen?
Yes, DG, I'm just I've lost the document now. Just 2 seconds, DG, is gonna come through.
Okay, thank you very much. I will follow up what the chairperson has said, that we also need to look into the fact that some of the things are interrelated. I will put emphasis on those areas that might have not been raised in the former presentations. The recommendations, it's not on yet, the members can't see. Thanks, Colin. The recommendations that have been provided to us as a department are: the committee resolved to monitor and regularly follow up with the DMV on the implementation of its audit action plans, the preventative controls, and the implementation of consequence management in relation to irregular, fruitless, and wasteful expenditure. With regards to the leadership issues raised by the AG, the accounting officer and senior leadership at DMV should ensure that they exercise adequate oversight over performance reporting, compliance with applicable legislation, and related internal controls. The accounting officer issued a directive that all issues raised in the audit action plan must be resolved by the 31st of December 2021. That was after the AG gave the report, and all affected managers were issued with letters informing them of such a directive, including, of course, the matters and the findings that were made. The department is in the process of implementing consequence management for certain officials that have been identified making those issues that have been raised by the AG. The department continues to submit the performance report to the relevant authorities. The department is required to review its audit action plan and present this to the committee to allow it to be monitored on a quarterly basis. The accounting officer issued, of course, letters to managers. We were trying to ensure that we follow up on the AG's report and ensure that we don't have repeated findings. The department welcomed an opportunity to present on the progress of the audit action plan to the committee when it's called upon to do so. The recommendation C, the committee emphasized that the department should serve all qualifying military veterans and their dependents with the necessary vigor and compassion, irrespective of who and where they are. The committee will take exception if veterans are not treated in this manner and in terms of the Military Veterans Act, number 18 of 2011. Indeed, the department continues to improve service delivery efforts with inclusive of our provincial coordination, which have now become part of the management meeting, so that activities at provinces are also monitored, and the way that the military veterans are treated also comes to our level, and we can be able to address those matters. In line with some of the comments, of course, that were raised in terms of the Western Cape office, indeed, the team was dispatched to go and investigate what happened in that respect, and the department is still working on ensuring that it supports the military veteran family that was encountered the challenge, and also we are dealing with the matter in terms of the provincial coordinator that was involved. Also, in line with our performance plan, which talks to issues of the department being automated, we are looking at ensuring that the department will be able to draw much more efficiencies in this respect, and we would be reducing the issues of complaints that will be coming to the department, as we will be able now to ensure all programs and benefits are into a system that can be accessed by all military veterans and by all stakeholders that we are responsible for in the department. Indeed, it is in line with our APP. The next recommendation that was raised is recommendation D. The committee stressed that it is unacceptable that officials in the department, I think it's actually saying there's some of the things that have been raised, but I won't repeat this part. It's talking also to the issue of military veterans that are not timelessly and are not treated with compassion. The department should give feedback on these cases and should put measures in place to ensure that such conduct is being rooted out. The DMV should report to the committee on these measures on the quarterly basis. As I indicated in that previous recommendation, that the department has sent some people to go and look into the matter, and the necessary support was immediately given to the military veterans and the family that was affected, and the official, we are still working on the issues that happened in that office. It's a provincial office in the Western Cape, but as we have indicated, we are looking at all our provincial offices as we have our managers in the provinces in our management meetings. Recommendation D, the department is now positioned to receive queries and complaints through a call center. The department has established a call center, which such queries get dispatched to the relevant units. We have received about 3,000 instances of communication from November 2021 to February 2022, varying from emails, walk-ins, phone, SMS, and WhatsApp. The call center officials have been issued also with mobile phones in 2022 so that they are able to respond to the issues raised by military veterans. And we are hoping, as we are working on a system, also this part of our area of complaints will also be linked into the system so that it can be monitored in terms of the performance. In line, of course, with our annual performance plan, which talks to digitalization and automation, the department has signed an agreement with SITA, I think, with to develop the integrated database system. A demonstration was done internally in the department on the 6th of December to ensure that all officials are aware of the process and are aware in terms of how is it going to be unfolding. And SITA has provided the department with a project manager and some support staff that is going to be assisting us while we are migrating our information into the system. The IDMS, and as I indicated, it's got a couple of legs. I think we've spoken about the other leg, and it will ensure that the efficiencies in the department are really addressed going forward. consideration of the issues referred to by the public protector and the appeals board by clients, the department institutes investigations. When such cases are reported, officials are usually dispatched to such cases and report developed for further actioning. And recommendation E, the committee stated that COVID-19 pandemic, the reduced budget and the vacancies in senior positions might have contributed to the poor performance of the department. The department should, however, still endeavor to improve on its service delivery and benefits of military veterans and their dependents, as many of their clients are in dire need of these services and benefits. Indeed, the poor performance have been registered in the department over a period of time. Indeed, as it has been raised, the incapacity, especially in the strategic areas, has caused some of the challenges. The department has appointed in the 4 critical areas 4 senior members. In the area of human resources, in a director there, in area of the labor relations, a deputy director and a director in the legal. In order to strengthen our capacity, the department has further advertised 2 deputy director general's positions for corporate services and socio-economic support. And that was done on the 28th of January, 2022. And the closing date of this position is in February 24, 2022. The department is also in the process of advertising additional posts that have been vacant in its efforts to improve its efficiencies. Amongst the posts that we are working on, of course, is the post on communication, which is an area that the department is having a lot of challenges in communicating some of the benefits and some of the needs that the military veterans would like to hear about on time. And upon automation, of course, we are also anticipating that there will be improvement in service delivery in certain areas. Performance in education unit has also began to improve, and we are currently still consistently going out and having road shows to ensure that we understand the challenges in this benefit. Temporal arrangements have been made with the Department of Defense to increase our capacity to assist us in ensuring that we address, as we are still currently working manually, and we are trying by all means to ensure that the capacity there is assisting in alleviating the challenges and the blockages within the education benefit. I've already indicated that the road shows have also been part of our plans to unblock some of the challenges in the education support. There is also currently improvement in other performance of some compensation benefit, and the officials are using the same format that is used for the education support program in terms of the road shows to ensure that we are trying to reach some of the far-fetched areas and some of the far-fetched members of our department in ensuring that we are able to address and redress the challenges they have with healthcare services. In terms of the majority of the members are now able to access our SAMS health services with no hiccups, as the officials have tried to migrate the information to SAMS to ensure that their information appears when they need the services. Indeed, it is a challenge that we still have to work hard in ensuring that there is a provincial hospital strengthening by our officials, and also at the district health level, we also need to ensure that we are strengthening our position in ensuring that our military veterans are also represented in terms of being attended through those institutions. Then the next one, can you move the slide? Recommendation F. Recommendation F speaks to the reduction of annual performance targets. Indeed, as a result of the failure by the department to achieve targets should be addressed as a matter of urgency, along with the above mentioned recommendations. Such reductions are detrimental to military veterans and their dependents and create the impression that the department is content with such underperformance. Indeed, a lot of discussion has come up in terms of ensuring that this matter of the reduction of the targets, it's not done going forward. Instead, we need to strengthen our capacity where we are lacking in the area of service delivery, we have also tried to ensure that we move some of the colleagues to provide support on the service delivery units. The underperformance should be resolved, especially with appointment of the critical personnel in the vacant posts that have been presented to the committee in the previous recommendation. Recommendation G speaks to the committee recommended that the department should prioritize the delivery of housing and clear obstacles in this regard, especially at provincial and local government level, as the demand for this benefit is very high. I do want to admit to the committee and members and the minister and the deputy minister that the area of housing indeed is a challenge. The department, in terms of the performance of the provinces, and of course, it doesn't show that we are moving in this area. The first challenge indeed is, of course, that the delivery of the service is not done within the DMV, is done via human settlement and also through the provincial governments and provincial departments. And it has given poor results, first of all. And secondly, also, when there's challenges with military veterans, invasions, and also the poor quality of houses that are being built, the DMV has also to intervene and form part of the committees as much as the rest of the implementation was happening at a provincial level, and the DMV has not been represented adequately in that space. And I think we have opened up this area for more options that can ensure that the housing delivery comes with speed, but also with the necessary quality for our military veterans. It's one area that we felt that we will be taking up during the department strat plan to look at other better options that can assist the department to deliver adequately in this area and also be represented in this area. But more so, we are also looking at the situation where military veterans businesses also participate in situations of implementation in terms of the housing plans. The challenges, I won't get deep into them, as I've indicated that they vary in terms of the areas. The challenges in Gauteng have mostly been invasions and incomplete structures in Mapias and displacement of military veterans in Ramas City. Challenges in KZ has seen invasions in the Alu Ridge project, and I think also Northwest and Free State has seen a few services sites available for the approved beneficiaries. Lastly, Western Cape had challenges of poor quality, especially in BRRR. The department is working with Provincial Department of Human Settlement to resolve some of these challenges. And the other challenges that we've observed is that military veterans are usually having these sites in excluded areas where there is no economic participation. We are still engaging with our stakeholders within the status quo to see how we can ensure that there's also economic participations in these areas. In the area like BRRR, there was an area that was identified for economic development, and we, as a task team that is working in the Western Cape to assist the military veterans there, we have put a lot of emphasis to say that economic development must also be part of a project that is attached to the housing development in these areas. Furthermore, there is a historical backlog in all provinces in the delivery of houses for military veterans, which has been caused by a variety of challenges, such, of course, delays with SCM processes in municipalities, abandonment of projects by contractors, illegal invasions of houses, unavailability of land, and, of course, serviceable sites in municipalities. The DMV is looking at formalizing partnerships with all provinces through protocol agreements so that we can be able to closely monitor what is going on within the status quo currently. Housing sub-work streams set up by the PTT is also looking at some of the feasibility of a comprehensive strategy with possible options on housing provision to military veterans by the state. Recommendation 8. Chairperson, the department was encouraged to ensure that military veterans are routed to medical facilities near their homes to prevent them spending extra money on traveling. The committee also stressed that this challenge is exacerbated by the fact that the subsidized public transport benefit has not materialized, and lamented that it is still in the policy phase. I think also this is also going to be part of the traveling policy that we're currently addressing as a department. The department notes the concern, and it will treat the matter with extreme urgency due to its negative impact on the lives of the military veterans. Indeed, health is one of the benefits that are exclusive, that need a lot of attention in terms of being decentralized, and also specific attention needs to be also addressed in terms of specialized needs, like where the military veterans have to get certain needs like dialysis and other critical services that are required by our ailing community of military veterans. And indeed, work is being done to ensure that the military veterans are properly positioned in the provincial hospitals. And our officials are also going out to ensure, while we are busy with protocols, that the provincial and the district health centers are also made aware of the situation of our military veterans. At a higher level, of course, the PTT through the health work stream, at a DG level, we were also going to be engaging to ensure that we have a direct link with the national, with the provincial institutions as well. The department, through the presidential task team, is currently processing and engaging. Those are the protocols that we're trying to do as a department to ensure that we've got a comprehensive health plan for our military veterans. The task team is also look at various options like medical aid, similar to the regular force medical continuation fund offered by the Department of Defense for their retired members. Recommendation I, the committee recommends that the department should explore avenues to assist military veterans staying in asbestos roof houses, and give the committee feedback at its quarterly meetings on this issue. Upon us receiving a message of the issue of the asbestos, we did dispatch some of our officials to go and investigate. The area that was reported was around the Western Cape, PAL, but it was also noted that it's not the only area that has been indicted by houses that have been done with asbestos. The department is still investigating this matter. It has not concluded on the strategy on how it's going to be addressed. However, the issue of upgrading houses of military veterans who have previously received RDP houses which had asbestos roofs to the same level of the current specification of the standard that has been highlighted is a matter that is currently being investigated. Thank you, Chairperson. That was my last input on this matter.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dichi, well presented. Colleagues, we now can then deal with all three. I know we've covered a huge ground on the first one. I thought maybe some questions might be answered by the subsequent presentations, meaning these two, to avoid us, preempting or repeating the discussion. Right, colleagues, now the matter is on the table. And are there any questions? Mr. Murray, I see your hand.
Thank you, Chairperson. Yes, some of the issues were addressed. So thank you very much for that. The first question, the first matter that came to mind is, if and when we, get informed or receive complaints in these regards, what are we to do? What is the recommendation that we must do with those complaints? And I think somewhere we must have an address that we can, send that complaints to, especially if it is worthy complaints or justifiable complaints or concerns. Then secondly, I want to just also make sure for myself, both in terms of the health and the housing, who are responsible? Is it the National Department of Housing and Human Settlements that is the primary agent, or is it the provincial department?
My question but let me raise it. Maybe when the DM and the minister comes in, they will attend to it. I'm a bit worried with some of the responses that we got from the department around the challenges that they are faced on with their human resource in terms of filling vacancies on time. I find it reactionary that it happens when the unemployment rate is so high and we seek to create employment and we allow technocrats to be reactionary in that fashion. I would like the minister or the deputy minister to comment on that particular act from the department. Thank you very much.
Chairperson. Chairperson.
SDM.
I am very sorry to interrupt the proceedings. Could Honorable Member Mutle just repeat the point he was making for me just now? Honorable Mutle, if you could just repeat that point.
Please repeat.
Thank you.
All right. No, it's fine. I was saying I will appreciate if you, the DM or the minister, could comment on what I find to be reactionary from the human resource of the department out of the comment that was made here that there's an intention to fill vacancies and the HR is not coming on board. And that is happening whilst the unemployment rate is very high, as per the report released by Stats SA. And in our manifesto, we promised people that we are going to create jobs.
Okay, so is the delay in filling vacancies and also which would address unemployment and performance in the department? I'm just adding the issue of performance to what Mr. Mutle has just indicated. All right, colleagues, now I request the DG to fill the questions. Once he has done, then the deputy minister, the minister will then close the discussion.
Thank you, Chairperson, and thank you to the members on the questions around the health. I do have my colleague at health, Ms. Rolo, who's going to take the committee through the issues that were raised. Rolo.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Ma'am. Thank you, Minister and Deputy Minister and the House and our colleagues. The question that I'm going to be responding to is the question from Honorable Mare that relates to whether we do allow military veterans to attend public hospitals and private hospitals respectively without a referral. In terms of the public hospitals, military veterans can attend the public hospitals without referral on the basis of the fact that the Department of Health is obliged to treat any South African member, irrespective of whether they do have military medical aid or not. So in that regard, military veterans can access the public healthcare facilities. And then in terms of the private healthcare facilities, no, military veterans have to have a referral from the South African military healthcare services for them to be able to access the private healthcare facilities, purely because the department does not have a network of service providers, being either hospitals, facilities, or network of doctors. the custodian of our healthcare benefit or healthcare access is the South African Military Healthcare Services. Therefore, they do have preferred provider networks or hospitals or doctors that they do have contracts with. And then we pay the military, the SAMS healthcare services to be able to reimburse those particular hospitals or doctors that military veterans have attended to. I must, however, add that in the issue of our public healthcare facilities, military veterans do attend the public healthcare facilities, but from time to time, due to the pressure and the pressure that we have in our public healthcare facilities of availability of treatment material and beds, we find from time to time military veterans requesting that we transfer them to either the SAMS healthcare facilities or through SAMS transfer them to the nearest available private healthcare facility, which is something that we are doing. The only weakness that we are having in terms of the access to healthcare is the popularization of all the initiatives that we have in terms of access to healthcare to military veterans, which is something that the DG has alluded to, that we are working on in terms of making sure that our communications assist us with the pamphlets that we have developed to let military veterans know that if this situation occurs, this is who you need to contact. If you are in an accident, this is the contact number, how we refer them, and all that, that information. That is the weakness that we are having and that we have identified, and we are working on to make sure that military veterans are not found wanting when they try to reach healthcare services. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Moralo. I will take upon Ms. Siego to talk to the issue of the amendment bill.
Thank you, DG. Thanks, Chair, members, the Minister and DM. There is a process, it's a government process that we have undertaken to actually get the bill development or do I say approval in place. Part of that, we've had an engagement with our executive authority around this in December of 2021. And now our next step then was to also get approval from, once we have incorporated the inputs that were provided at that particular time. Now the next step for us is to get the approval to, as highlighted in the program or in the plan of action, to get the approval from the ministry, then to table the amendments to the government clusters for their inputs. I think this is quite a critical step because it involves a number of government departments that we really need a buy-in on in some of these issues. And then once we are done with that, we are going to then seek approval from cabinet then to publish the amendment for public comments, and of which then the process then of engaging Parliament is going to kick in. I must indicate that initially we had planned, because of the issue of capacity and technical understanding of some of these processes. I think it became quite clear when the new Director Legal came on board that because we had anticipated that we would want to engage, we would finish these processes by July of this year, calendar year. But clearly, by looking at what needs to be done in terms of engagement, in terms of all these other things, we might even push it back, even further back in the year. So I think that's the plan with regards to what we intend doing. Thank you, DG.
Thank you, Mr. Siego. The questions was raised in relation to the poor performance in the filling of vacancies in the department, and the lack of attention that is given in that regard. I would love to say that indeed we have had a challenge in this section. Amongst other things that was a challenge was also the capacitation of this section, which is a crucial section to ensure that the department delivers adequately. And we have put our attention in HR to such an extent that one of the appointments is an appointment of a deputy director, human resources, planning and systems, which takes into considerations the matters that the member has raised. It is the person that is crucial in the planning, in matching the organogram, in ensuring that all the positions that need to be filled must be filled. And it is indeed has been a challenge in our department to fill in the positions. And we are looking at the second layer of the vacancies in the department, and the HR Deputy Director, Human Resources, Planning and System is assisting us now to ensure that we are clearly able to identify the gaps in different sections, and we are looking at improving in this area. Also, it's important to note that even in the reporting, we'll be improving, because there's areas that we are also weak in, the issues of balancing the gender, balancing the colleagues that are physically challenged. And this is the work of the Deputy Director that has just joined us, that will assist us in ensuring that we are fully capacitating the department. And it is a serious matter, because it needs to balance in terms of the performance of the department and also the weaknesses in certain crucial areas where positions should be filled, and especially in the area around benefits, and of course in other areas. We would like to say thank you to the chairperson, the minister and the deputy minister and the members, and some of the matters we are going to be taking them back and ensuring that we drive the implementation thereof. Thank you, chairperson, for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, DG. I think you have covered all the issues.
Chairperson, there's just one point that was not dealt with, and that is when we encounter such complaints, how do we deal with that to make sure that it gets to the department and gets addressed? So if we can be assisted in that regard, maybe a central point of where we can send that to, and how we need to do that, it'll be much appreciated. It would make it easier for every one of us.
Okay. Right, DJ?
Thank you, chairperson. We have, of course, developed the call center, but I think in terms of communicating and sending out the flyer with the details of the people and how the department gets reached for that area of complaints will ensure that we make the members and the community aware.
Okay. All right. Zinhle, there was a question earlier on. I see you have posted it on the chat group, so on the chat system. You want to say something on that one before I move off?
Thank you, Chairperson. There was a question from member Marius around the 67% and other percentages that do not necessarily tally to 100%. I would just wish to confirm that it is indeed our methodology that we are applying when we're doing our presentations, to say the expenditure divided by the amount budgeted for that specific economic classification multiplied by 100, then it will give you those percentages that do not necessarily tally up to 100%, and that methodology is applied throughout our slides, if you notice. I just want to explain that, Chairperson. Thank you.
No, it's fine. I think it makes sense now. That 86 million rand is against the budget for compensation, which is 129 million rand. All right. No, thank you so much. Now it makes sense. Colleagues, I think we have concluded questions. DG, we are not happy with the 48% spend. in the department, because it means that you must spend 52% of the budget in the last quarter, and you need a miracle to spend 52% in the last quarter when you have not been able to achieve it in 2 quarters. So, in fact, in 3 quarters. So, in 3 quarters, 48%, and you are expected now in the last quarter to spend 52%. Is unachievable. And it's money that is going to be surrendered back to Treasury. We are concerned about that. What makes us concerned is that we surrender money back to Treasury. And when the need is out there for all of us to see. I've mentioned this before, that this is a huge disservice to people who are waiting to be assisted by this department. We're talking about departments, the military veterans. Some of them are living in squalor conditions. And it's 30 years now, approaching 30 years. Their life has not changed. In actual fact, has turned to worse. They were better when they were outside the country, better off. And so it's a matter that really you need to move on it with speed, address all the policies, and then start delivering on those policies. That's a promise we made to the military veterans, that they made a sacrifice, a huge sacrifice. They made their own contribution, and that the state will look after them. So it's an indictment on all of us that we are sending the money back. And the money we are sending back is money that Treasury has been cutting because we've been failing to spend. This is the 3rd, if not a 4th year, where Treasury has cut the budget and say, as we cut it, we know you're not going to spend it. So I think we need to address that point. And then the last point is that we must not see fiscal dumping, because fiscal dumping doesn't help to address the issues. If anything, it you spend money without getting anything in return. So we better hand it back to Treasury for those departments that will be able to put it in good use, if you can spend it. We are actually cautioning you against just dumping money for the sake of dumping it, simply because if you don't spend it, you will be accused. So that's the thing. But I understand it, and at the same time, that you face Treasury who is going to say you fail to spend the budget. It means that you have money you don't need, and therefore another cut. So those are the 2 things. It's an assurance from you that there will be no fiscal dumping. I'm not going to ask you to assure us that you'll spend every single cent of it, because I will be asking you to make an impossible commitment. All right, I leave you, but with that, and then move to the DM. DM will just say a few things, everything he needs to say, including questions that were directed to him, and then ask the minister to then close the discussion. DM.
Chairperson, thank you very much. To yourself and honorable members of the committee for this engagement. I want to prioritize a few areas that were touched upon in the course of exchanges we've had this morning. Those that I think are important to make visible to committee members. The first, of course, is to say that the point that was made by the minister at the beginning, and that we are going to have an engagement with Treasury on the resources of the department is unavoidable. We need to do so because as members would appreciate, there are things that are pressing that we need to deal with, that budget-wise we may not be able to. And primarily the recommendations of the presidential task team around the paying out of a military pension to these military veterans. It's important that we get that sorted out, and engagement with Treasury will be aimed at facilitating that. The concern raised about the regularity with which the ministry engages the department. I can, without fear of any contradiction, assure members of the portfolio committee that the ministry is actually over doing the oversight work over this department. There is actually at times comments to the effect that we are wanting to micromanage the department, which is of course a negative. But to give the honorable members a sense of our oversight work as the ministry over the department is that on a monthly basis, it is scheduled that we have as a ministry a meeting with the management of the department, and on a fortnightly basis have a meeting with the DG of the department, which has not worked out because there has been a need on a continuous basis to meet the DG almost on a weekly basis, at times even twice a week, engage the DG because of things that are quite pressing to be addressed within the department. It has actually proved a bit counterproductive and sterile to engage the management of the department as regularly as agreed, because a pattern was emerging where in our meetings with management, there would be clear indication that there isn't much progress that the department has been able to do on what was discussed before, and we end up having very sterile discussions. And it was felt that we should back off a bit and give the department the space to execute, to get things done and get things moving. So with respect to that point about our oversight as the ministry, the members can be assured that our oversight is indeed very tight. There is a point about progress that the department has registered in the period, in the reporting period we are discussing. It is important for the portfolio committee to note what the DG has said around the automation of the department. It's a big achievement, and we will, as she said, they have launched that intervention internally in the department in December. We plan to go and have on-site understanding of what has the department automated and to see how it functions and how much improvement has it brought about in the department. There is, of course, a point which we must address, which is that the training of the department's employees in getting the introduced technologies to function well. That training has to be done. Otherwise, this integrated data management system will be underutilized, if I may put it that way. While still on the point about this breakthrough the department has made, I want to say that in the presentation of the department, there is one problem area which we have highlighted to the department, that we need to separate the training in ICTs of military veterans, which has been reported here as part of the training initiatives that the DMV has embarked upon for military veterans. We've got to separate it from the training of DMV employees in the ICTs that the department has introduced there. For the simple reason that any training that military veterans are accorded by the DMV must and can only be successful if it is on a needs basis. If the need, the case for it has been made convincingly by the department to say we need to train military veterans in ICTs because there is a demand for it, or because it is going to enable them to do the following 1, 2, 3, which will assist the department in putting them where we want them to be. If training is not on the basis of any research of the need, then much as it may be a good intention, it may not necessarily achieve the requisite objective. I mean, the anticipated objectives. This ICT training that is talked about by the department, we've made it the point that it has to be done through many centers and training centers and institutions that are providing, IT training. They are there. And it is only for the department to decide on which it accredits for that purpose. It's not something that requires to be done through SITA. That SITA must assist in procuring service providers to go and do this training. It is just the way we provide access to education. It's education and training. The institutions are there, and the department can easily put military veterans into those programs with those institutions. And of course, it is important that the profile of the military veterans that we are talking about has always to be at the back of our minds when we identify things that we want to do for them. And maybe I should just spend 1 minute on this matter with honorable members and explain this, that the military veterans that we are talking about are different categories. They are not just one community with the same, background and the same needs. And I'm raising this in relation to ICT training, that there are military veterans that belong to age cohorts that are quite advanced, that you would not be including them in this kind of initiatives. But there are military veterans who now the department has unintendedly, by law, compelled to look after them. For instance, as Honorable Member Shilembe has been suggesting. The last point I must touch on is a very crucial point. It's to do with the providing of the social relief of distress to military veterans in the context of the COVID-19 pandemic. We have not been able to do what the presidential task team had asked us to do, which is that we must release as much as we can of the budget that was put aside as a top-up budget by the department for this military veteran. The processing of recipients has been very sluggish, has been very slow, because a bottleneck got created through the department's procedure of getting the evaluation of recipients to be done by social workers. And the department does not have social workers in any significant numbers to cover the whole country to assess all of these military veterans who must get this social relief of distress from the department. And as a result, there are still many who should have received the social relief of distress who have not received it. And this is an administrative matter which the department has to find a solution to. We can't rely on 2 or 3 social workers to process such a huge community for a benefit that is so urgent and so crucial for military veterans. There are other issues which honorable members have raised, Honorable Mare has raised, but in the interest of time, allow me to stop there. Matters around the delivery of health services, I agree what we have done is not sufficient, not at all. For as long as the department has still not put in place a service level agreement with the Department of Health, and we do not have an instrument of identification of military veterans when they approach or when they go to the Department of Health facility to be treated in a way that is collaborative with SAMs. And here I mean the sick base and the military hospitals of the Defense Force. For as long as there is no MOU between the 2 departments and procedures, standard operating procedures in place to deal with this delivery of health, there will always be those bitter complaints for those who are in far-flung areas of the country. Let me pause the chairperson and honorable members.
Okay, thank you very much, DM. You've made valuable contribution. I hope the department will take it to heart, because it will assist in improving the performance and the image of the department. All right, Minister, you are the last person on this matter.
Thank you, Chairperson. I'll be short. When I came in August, we agreed after a discussion with the Deputy Minister that I would delegate to him the responsibility, DMV. That, however, does not mean that this particular department leaves me out of the loop, because ultimately I am responsible. And that is the problem that we have here. So to respond to you, Ndade Mare, I do expect that I will have those sessions where we look at the annual report of the department with the Deputy Minister and the DG and all the heads who are relevant to the discussions there, to the whether we are looking, whether we are reprioritizing. I do need that. I do expect that every year in October, I will be favored by the head of this department with the priorities of the department in the following financial year that I have not received. I would expect that I would have a sit-down discussion with both the Deputy Minister and the head of this department on any matter that is legal, especially which drags me to court and I do not know and I've not been apprised. So I would also expect that I will get the monthly financial statements of this department without fail, irrespective of whether the DM who is delegated there receives them or not. Now, there is also, and perhaps I'm a newcomer, and newcomers sometimes take offense when they shouldn't take offense. There is a level of being very ad hocish with reports. Firstly, we all know that housing, the National Department is responsible for housing. Make no mistake, the provinces play a role. It is a limited role. Because they focus on the province, but they get the bulk of the finances from the national. Your local government has actually two particular roles to play in the provision of housing. One, it is to identify the land available for housing. Two, it is to come with a register of beneficiaries. And then it is to sign off on the happy letters. So your responsibility as this department on the housing provision for veterans will have to be something that you deliberately cause to happen with an agreement, push it to a memorandum of understanding between the two ministries. Because the ad hocism that I am interpreting is when UDG thinks that they can go to Treasury, they can go to other DGs of other departments, and that is where the agreements are. When it hits the Fed, it will not be these DGs who have to respond to Parliament over finances spent or not spent. It is the executive. And therefore, I am worried about where you actually hear a chief director engaging with Treasury and we know nothing. Because in fact, those agreements mean nothing because ultimately when the budgets of departments are discussed, that cabinet committee that deals with the budgets of departments engages with the minister. We cannot be having, this is how we have always done. I want to say that DM and DG, you would have to humor me. Because for me, anything that is done in an ad hoc sense is an issue. You will remember that there was a time when I said, I do not really know what is happening. My first meeting with you, Chair, as a committee, I said, I don't know what's happening in the department. And that is because other than the meeting when on the week I arrived, I have not had a meeting with the DG to get appraised, to ask questions, to deal with issues that are related to that department. I understand the level of satisfaction that the GM has. I do not have that satisfaction. And it worries the hell out of me, because when we are going to deal with a budget here, I would have to rely on hearsay because I do not have first-hand knowledge. So that is an area we need to fix. But what really worries me most is not even these administrative teething problems. It is when you've got programs which are introduced, which have serious budget implications, which have not been cleared with us. When you have environments, when you have deviations which have not been cleared with us. So how do we come to the committee and respond when we are asked about these things? I am worried about, and I told Utiti, when an advert that looks as a CFO goes out, and I am not sure, as the minister responsible, at which level this particular individual we are hunting for is being pitched. And I'm saying this out of my experience as chairperson of the NCOP and speaker in the NA. Because the tendency is to pitch these responsibilities very low. You've got people who have diplomas, who are pitched at that level because I don't know why, when they're going to be dealing with billions and hundreds of millions in departments. So I'm saying it is important for us to then go back there. I want to have a retreat because I want to see whether, in fact, as we introduce some of these projects, we have actually looked at what this particular department initially was set up to do. Now, and I want to argue that had this department not been fast asleep in those years, this thing where you have people who came in with the MSDS program, who now suddenly, because I don't know what happened there, probably the department did not see it fit to efficiently defend and explain to the courts what their program was all about. Probably the people who were heading the department did not even understand how the program came about. Now you've got an 18-year-old, 16, 17-year-old post-matriculant who is recruited to get into, who gets 2 years to qualify to be a member of the permanent SANDA, and who does not qualify, who then goes out and says, I demand the same benefits as a person who was fully trained and who was commissioned. So I'm saying this ad hocism gives me nightmares because I come in, I don't even worry to understand what a veteran and the responsibility of the department is. I listen to what we are saying. And sometimes I think it is not recruiting professionals for professionals. It is also in those interviews, getting worried about whether people really understand the mandate, the thrust, that, and the responsibility of the state towards veterans. Udiji will still explain to me, maybe this plan of road making, who is it pitched for? Who amongst the real military veterans, whether they are SADF, TBVC, whether they are MK or APLA, who is still at the age that is going to enable them to be using these road making machines? And those are the things that when you clear projects, when you discuss the budget implications, you can discuss and say, but this one is a good idea, this one is not a good idea. You don't just see a complaint from people saying, "Hi, why are you buying this equipment?" and me sitting on the phone and saying, "DG, Kanene, is it true you have bought such equipment? Where is it? Who is going to use it?" Because there has not been information that flows. So Ndate Mare, yes, as frequently as 3 months and monthly, I would like to have a sit down. I am not going to be an administrator, but I need to understand which way this department is going, whether it is really serving the purpose, because otherwise we are going to be having a problem. When the department comes to the portfolio committee and says, we need to come out with the public, South Africa doesn't even have a defined public transport system. When you go and do your benchmarking in Zimbabwe and in Namibia, I have to ask a question. If you had said to me you were benchmarking in France and in the UK because their public transport system is well developed, I would understand, and then I would have a rebuttal that says, but really, would their system fit in with us here? But at least it would have made sense that you have at least gone to see what is happening at established countries that have a really entrenched public transport system. So I pick up things where sometimes I think we've got great ideas, and these ideas sometimes are not so practical. We've got ambitions to make sure that this happens. And when we want to create jobs, who are we creating the jobs for? One, we must make sure that that insurance goes into those, especially the non-states, because those are the people who did not gainfully work in the years they were fighting for on whichever side, who did not amass any pension benefit. And therefore, you look at that particular category because those who joined SADC already, and I want to make an example, Ndate Makwetla, you would remember we had a general who retired, former general from the Nenstats, who got away with as little as 50,000 as pension. When you had somebody who was lower, who far lower in rank, who went away with millions simply because this particular one had been contributing in the years Zabona into the pension fund, and these ones who came from the Nenstats did not have anything. And therefore, the department was put in place to try and deal with these issues, not to discriminate, but to deal with real issues that affect these people. Now, if a member of the non-states has a house, is the department duty bound to provide a house, veterans, simply because everybody else is getting a house? Those are the questions that we should start to interrogate so that you actually use the resources to equate those who have not to those who already have, without creating favoritism or discrimination. So we would need to go back and look at those things that will really make us deliver to those who need. We have an issue which is burning in the country. Soon, people who came in, especially from the two non-states combatant bodies, who came in, who are now retiring, still as privates and corporals, because they did not get the opportunities to get any promotion, and therefore the pension is going to render them again worse off than they are now, because right now some of them, the barracks create a little between coverage. So there are those things that we have to sit down and say, So what are we going to do with this category of people? Do we just let them go with the 50,000 or the 200,000, which in today's day, they are not going to have anything? I think also that when we talk about housing, we must also include the fact that the premiers are being brought into play by the presidential task team. So before the administrators run right ahead of the discussions between the executive, it is always important for us to know exactly what you are discussing, Budiji, exactly what should we take there and formalize into agreements between the department and the provinces. And I would actually say that we should be very careful on how we drag in local government, which has no business in providing for the welfare, but gets into the loop via the province and the national, so that we don't end up running all over the show and messing up where we are thinking we are fixing things. So for me, the department has a very important role, but we need to go back and say, is this still the role that we want? Can we refine our role? And what do we do? But for me, Chair, once we have adopted a budget, I'm very rigid about budgets. I hate bad budgetary responses from the Auditor General. So for me, when you start deviating from what was agreed to, you need to have good cause. You need to be able to stand in front of the committee and in front of the House and say, I deviated here because I condoned this because. So yes, we are likely to lose more money this coming year, end of the financial year, because there's no way we can agree that suddenly we are going to overshoot this budget, because we will do wrong things if we are going to force this expenditure in this last dying weeks of this financial year. So for me, you do the right things at the right time, you plan, you keep to your plans, you are disciplined, you have issues, you tell us, we all approach Treasury, so that I don't meet up with the Minister of Finance and saying something else, and the officials are saying something else down there. And we come across as untidy, unprofessional, people who do not know what they're doing. So I'm saying we will fix the department, but the department must also respect that they do have the responsibilities to report. I do not want to see my name dragged into cases when I've not been told what this case is all about, that I have not even defended. Because if the minister is unaware, you are not defending, default judgments are given against. And they set precedents, bad precedents. So we will fix things up, Chair. We will have to do things as they are supposed to be done. What we will not do is ever come to you and give you glossy reports when we don't think we have glossy reports. We will admit to our shortcomings, and we will undertake, as I'm undertaking now, to go and fix so that we really deliver. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Minister. Well said. Colleagues, I think it's the right time to adjourn the meeting and thank once again the Minister for her remarks, and the DM for his remarks as well, and the DG for the presentation. We hope that next time the situation will be better, would improve, and because if we are not assisting the department to improve, then we may as well close shop. Because our role is oversight, so that we assist in enhancing performance. I'm happy with the remarks that the Minister has made. It looks as though we are all in the right direction. Colleagues, with that, I'm not going to take the last item now. Brian, I'm sorry. We'll deal with the minutes at the next meeting. I think it's the right point to adjourn the meeting. Colleagues, any disagreement? Is there any objection to me closing the meeting now?
No, Chair.
No, sir. No, Chair.
Thank you so much. I thank you, colleagues, for your concurrence. The meeting stands adjourned.
Chairperson, can I just say thank you to the Minister for obviously raising her concerns. And obviously, you know, we as a committee and we as individual members will support her, because our only objective is to have a better service to our military veterans, who certainly deserves more than what they are getting. And it's not only the fault of the department, it's also that of money, but to a large extent, it's because of management of the matter. So thank you very much, Minister, much appreciated.
Thank you for that comment, Mr. Murray. The meeting is adjourned.
Recording stopped.